You ever looked at the US debt clock and wonder how we even got here? Because right now the United States government is sitting on a $37 trillion in debt, the largest pile of debt any country has ever carried in the history of the world. That's more than the entire global economy produced in a single year not too long ago. And here's the part most people still haven't figured it out. They are not trying to pay it back, not through taxes, not through cutting spending, not through economic growth, and definitely not through printing more monies to pay the debt. That would look really, really bad to the world. The real plan is erasure through devaluation, shrinking the real value of the dollar so the real weight of the debt melts away. And the strategic assets they're using to do that, the same assets most people think the governments hated for years, Bitcoin and gold. Gold is a different story. Right now, you're watching one of the most sophisticated debt reset strategies in modern history. The government is slowly building a parallel financial system, one where Bitcoins and gold rise, and the dollar quietly falls. So when they revalue these strategic assets upward, their balance sheets get stronger while your purchasing power weakens. And here's where things get even clearer. The United States government isn't planning to buy Bitcoin at all. And they don't have to. They don't want to push the price up. They don't want to chase it. They don't want to alarm the market. They plan to accumulate Bitcoin through seizures, not purchases, criminal cases, fraud busts, ransomware takedowns, exchange penalties, forfeitures. These pipelines are how the U.S. has already become one of the largest Bitcoin holders on earth. Just last month, the DOJ confiscated $15 billion worth of Bitcoin from a massive Asian-based scam operation. That one seizure alone instantly increased U.S. government's Bitcoin holdings by a huge amount. When governments can seize 127,000 Bitcoin in a swoop, it starts to make sense why they're so confident they can build a reserve of 1 million Bitcoins without ever buying it on the open market. They simply don't want to move the price yet. Because if the government start buying Bitcoin publicly, the price would explode and they'd be forced to pay more for every coin if they decide to buy. That's the last thing they want. Accumulating quietly through seizure, that's the plan. And once they reach the strategic threshold, that's when the revaluation comes. Let's step back a moment and understand the playbook. This is not the first time the U.S. has used strategic asset revaluations to shrink debt. They did it back in 1933 when they revaluate gold upward and devalue the dollars downward. The government instantly strengthens its balance sheet and the real burdens of this debt shrank. Ordinary citizens holding dollars, their purchasing power fell. That's what a monetary reset looks like. And now, look at where we are today. The U.S. government has $37 trillion in debt. Debt to GDP is 132%, one of the highest in American history. Interest payments alone are over $1.2 trillion a year, heading toward $1.8 trillion if interest rates stay where they are. You can't tax your way out of this. You can't grow faster than the debt. You can't cut enough spending. With this size of debt, mathematically, there's only one option left: devalue the dollar. But here's the key difference. They can't just print infinite money anymore. People would see it instantly. Inflation would explode. The dollars would panic the world. So they need a smarter play, a method that looks like strategy, not desperation. And this is where Bitcoin entered the centers of the stage. You remember on January 23rd, 2025 this year, the US created the world's first strategic Bitcoin reserve publicly. It was about innovations and staying ahead of China, but the deeper purpose is simple. Bitcoin is a strategic asset for monetary reset. Right now, the U.S. government's already control more than 320,000 Bitcoins from previous seizures, with ongoing criminal cases, fines, penalties, and international enforcement. They won't need to buy Bitcoins to reach the 1 million Bitcoins target. The accumulation pipelines is already there. Now pictures the moments the U.S. announced. The United States hold 1 million Bitcoins as a strategic reserve, and we are officially revaluing our holdings at $1 million per Bitcoin. Overnight, the Bitcoin's reserve jumps toward $1 trillion in values. Markets won't instantly move to $1 million per coin, but Bitcoin will rock upward because the powerful and one of the largest holders on the planet just set a psychological floor. Now, what about gold? For decades, the U.S. administration didn't use gold as an active monetary tool. It wasn't hatred. It just wasn't part of modern policy. Gold sat on the books at $42.22 per ounce. It numbers from way back 1973. That's undervalues American gold stash by hundreds of billions. But under the new administration, gold is no longer ignored. It's being treated as part of a broader strategic reserve. But make no mistake, gold is the legacy reserve, but Bitcoin is the asset with far greater upside. The U.S. has 8,133 tons of gold, and if they revalue it, even partially, the balance sheet's impact is enormous. Combine that with Bitcoin revaluations, and suddenly, Bitcoin reserve jump toward $1 trillion. Gold reserve jumps into multiple trillion range, and the U.S. quietly erased a massive amounts of real debt. Just like 1933, just with modern tools this time. And this is where you have to stop and ask yourself something real. When the most powerful governments on earth flips the switch, are you going to be a spectator watching your purchasing powers disappear, or a player who sees the wave coming and rides to safety? Because whether people like it or not, the old financial world is cracking. A new system is being built right in front of us in real time. Most will watch it unfold, and a few will position themselves inside it. The clock is ticking, and when the storm hits, you need to know exactly where to stand. So here's the crucial part: preparation. It doesn't matter how confident you are in Bitcoin, how bullish you feel, or how much convictions you have. If the government is preparing for a reset, you need to prepare too. Start with your foundation. You need at least 3 months of living expenses saved in a simple emergency fund. Something liquid, something stable, something you can access instantly if anything happens. Job loss, market freeze, unexpected bills, or volatilities that shakes the system. Next, get control of your Bitcoin. Don't leave your stack sitting on an exchange where it can be frozen, limited, or even seized. Move it to hardware wallet, cold storage, self-custody. Your keys, your Bitcoin, especially during a reset, and pay attention to the sign. Government's Bitcoin seizures rising, new executive orders, sudden gold repricing, changes in reserves disclosure. These are the warning signs before the resets becomes obvious. Above everything else, don't panic. Have a plan, stick to it, and stay grounded. People who panic get wiped out. People who prepare get ahead. Prepares today, not just to survive the shift, but to thrive when the dust settles. Look, if you're holding Bitcoin or Satoshis, you are not the target. You are the persons who step out of the collapsing system and into the new one. Hard assets survive reset, and soft money pay for them. Alright, my friends, I will see you soon in the next video. Take care.